Welcome to a new installment of the Advantech Virtual Update. I'm your host, Richard Ronce, and in this installment, we've got something special as we're joined by one of our internal application engineers, Adam Klein, to bring you a dedicated tech special where we get to look at not just what we do, but also how we can look at how to debug problems when they come up and some of the things you can do to help get your problem solved quicker. Here's the first half of that conversation that we had recently. Okay, so joining us on this round of the Advantech Virtual Update, I've got with us Adam Klein, who is our application engineer for the industrial automation team. How you going there, Adam?
Good, thanks, Richard. How's yourself?
Look, I think it's been an interesting few days, probably an interesting few weeks. Thanks for making the time to share your insights on this one here, because we're doing a little bit of a tech special this time around.
Yep.
So considering that you work in tech, you've probably seen, you've been here for a while now. You've probably seen quite a number of interesting little cases that come through.
Sure have.
And there's just no stopping them, eh?
Absolutely non-stop.
Yeah. So look, considering that we've got a little bit of time here to talk about them, the size of the problems that we do see that come through from customers can pretty much be relative, depending on who brings them up, and that can be based on a number of factors, including their background. And we get to see, as we've seen, various requests come through for all ends of the spectrum. So the first thing that I think that I probably want to address with you as the person that sort of really deals with the brunt of them is, as part of the tech team, first and foremost, what is it that you guys actually do in terms of tech and also post-sale support, and where is it that we draw the line? So what are the things that we also, most importantly for the people that will get to listen to this, what is it that we don't do and don't provide?
Okay, I guess the lines can get a little blurry at times, and it really depends on the type of problem that comes through to you at the time. But if I was to give a generalization on what we don't provide currently, would be due to a specific type of technical application that goes down to a fine detail, like programming an application for a customer using a specific API, providing a end-to-end installation plus design type facility. And there are some things that are technically not possible for us to do. Not saying that we won't offer advice or help in a particular situation, it just depends on what the situation is. But there are liabilities not only to the company, but also to the tech person that's doing it, depending on the breadth of the problem or how it's being connected or integrated into a particular scenario.
Sure. Yeah. Because I mean, with all of the things out there, like if we were just to look at things like HMIs, right? We do quite a range of HMIs between the TPC and the PPC range, but
sure,
when it comes to sort of fault finding and debugging and the like, the things that we probably really don't do is as you said, just really like consultation service. Because when it comes to SCADA, yeah, sure. I mean, we've got our own package, but we don't sort of deal with anything that's third party.
Yeah, well, it gets even more complicated when you're talking that type of level of integration, because each industry is unique, has it designed in its own particular way, and not necessarily using our package either.
Yeah,
and they may use our hardware.
Yeah.
Or they might use just our software and somebody else's hardware.
And then it goes even further, because I mean, every single site is different.
Correct.
I mean, for instance, like where we are right now in the office here, we've got a nice clear view of the building next door, and who knows how things are set up site to site.
Correct.
Let alone you might have one company that might have two different or multiple different architectures, etc.
Yes.
So when it comes to like all of the complexities that come in, like protocols and all sorts of different connectivity, whether it be serial, whether it be short range USB, Ethernet, fibers, all that sort of stuff, there's just so many things that we don't do. I mean, what was it? I think we had one recent case where there was someone trying to get things set up over a VPN, and that's just the type of thing that we realistically we just can't get involved with.
Yeah, I mean, networks are pretty much, well, most companies would have a secure functionality to their network anyway, wouldn't allow you a certain amount of access regardless.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, like you said, the topology, the way it's designed, the way it's laid out, firewall structure, I mean, it just goes on and on and on.
There's just so many variables out there. There's just too many things that we can't do.
Yeah.
And I think probably the final aspect on this topic is that everyone's also trying to make things work differently. It's
correct.
For instance, some people are going to be using APIs, SDKs. There's going to be some people out there who try to do their own code. And
correct, and they do. Yeah.
And then when you consider all of the different environments, like Microsoft, Linux,
even down to DOS.
Yeah. it's while we're speaking of DOS, you don't hear much of it, but when you do, there's just that sinking feeling that you get, because the stuff that works or that used to work for it is just so old and legacy.
Correct.
But the things that they're paired to, like the 40-ton, like
right,
$300,000, $500,000, bits of metalworking machinery
correct.
out there. There's almost nothing worse to say, like from a sales side, than there's pretty much just nothing that we can do.
That's right. I've had calls about milling machines that are still running on punch tape.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, but kudos to whoever programmed how to read those things. But for us, as a technical standpoint, we may supply the gear, but when it comes to debugging, that kind of legacy. Yeah.
And I mean, that really goes hand in hand with the throwaway catch line that for so long we are a hardware supplier. We are a hardware supplier, and that's where people such as integrators out there, and that also the end users, especially depending on their capability, they're the ones that make things work.
Correct.
So look, moving on, because there's a few things that I want to sort of
of course,
get your insight here on, and let people sort of see it a little bit more from the tech side. As we know, look, we do provide a pretty wide range of product.
Yeah, we do.
To the point where it's almost absurd, how many thousands of products that we've actually sort of got.
Yep.
And frankly, there's too much to know. The tech team that we've got, it's you and one other person.
Yeah.
So from your side, what would be some of the steps that you'd recommend to people out there to go through to help diagnose or debug problems like on their own?
Know your product.
Right.
Number one thing, the amount of phone calls that could probably be avoided if you read the manual.
Yeah. There's a fair bit of documentation out there that can help guide people through.
But just know what you're talking about. I mean, it makes it incredibly difficult for a technician to be able to talk technical when you're not understanding what he's trying to tell you about your product. Yeah. So having a look at the model number, jumping onto our web portal and having a go at the manual. If you don't understand something about the manual, great, because we have a common ground to work with you now. Yeah. And we can navigate that a lot easier. But that's the number one thing. So I'd say.
So okay, running this case past you, because I mean we get people who contact us from across, let's say, the industry spectrum, right?
Yeah.
We're not necessarily always dealing with like the technician or
exactly.
Someone in the technical department, someone let's say from admin. if someone like that calls, let's say, that doesn't know the product,
Yeah.
what would be, let's say, some of the general things that you'd probably suggest to them? And I mean, this is a perfect introduction for that throwaway line of turning it off and on again.
I was about to say the IT crowd. Look, as stupid as that sounds, that is one of them. But I mean, like, it is really, really difficult talking technical troubleshooting with somebody that just has no technical ability.
Yeah.
It gets downright difficult. So yeah, you've got to start basic.
Yeah, we really start hitting the wall on the language barrier there.
Yeah. Are the lights on?
Yeah.
Look for an indicator. Is there any indication that the whatever it is that isn't functioning? Because it could be, like, as you said, one of our 10,000 units or products. Is there any indication of any signs of life, no matter what it is?
Yep.
At all? Yes, no. But basics.
Yeah. I think
have a screen.
Yeah, well, I think one of the other things that would also be is that, especially for people out there who do run into problems, especially when it does come to trying to either debug things on your own. One of the things that I would basically sort of throw out from my experience, because I'm a very big fan of either trying to debug things a little bit as sales. Not only just a technical point of view, but also like from a customer service point of view. The big thing that I would probably suggest is, if something's going wrong out there, is there a pattern to it? Is it repeatable?
I agree. One of the very first things that I ask somebody when they don't have any technical ability is, what's changed?
Yeah.
As simple as that. Like, it was working. Have you noticed anything that's changed recently? Apart from it not working, but your environment, did you have power failure? Did the generators kick in?
Yep.
Was there a new IT person configuring your stuff?
Yep.
Was there a cleaner that you'd be surprised? I've had the cleaner ones where they've come in cleaning the warehouse and they've pulled one of the plugs out and nobody realized.
Right. And that there, for instance, not everything resumes the moment that the power's kicked on. Sometimes things need to actually be like restarted in software. The system needs to be reinitiated.
In this particular case, there was no problem with the Advantech unit.
Yep.
There was no problem with the power, but there was an extension lead that had been unplugged by the cleaner because he had to plug in his
vacuum cleaner or whatever
polishing device. Yeah.
little things like that.
Yeah, I mean,
little things.
Little things. I mean, first thing that runs through a technician's mind is probably power supply or something more technical related. But when you break it down, what's changed? Like you said, you can get to that kind of. Probably a bad example because that one probably took me a little while to work that out, because you never really consider the basic stuff to begin with. But.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Now, look, there's, I think there's so many things out there, and it's. I mean, we do tend to get, some calls, some correspondences that come in where, like, the information is just literally, the Advantech doesn't work anymore.
Oh, yeah.
And, I think that's probably the type of reaction that most people sort of have. It's
yes.
It's probably one of those things that's a little bit counterintuitive for anyone that may or may not be listening to this. But when something isn't working, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's actually gone off the rails.
Correct. It does seem to be a very popular thing. The Advantech isn't working, or our $1 million bill printing press has Advantech written on the side. We need you to come out and fix it.
And look, that being said, that's probably one of those things that sort of circles back to that first question that I've floated past you. I mean, we are, as a company, we are based in Melbourne. We do have some sales guys up in Sydney, but with only 2 people in the tech team, plus a repairs department, there's also everything that we basically do is, in terms of warranties or fixes, is back to base. Australia is not a small land mass.
No, it's not.
And that's where we do rely on integrators.
Yes.
Or but typically rely on the integrators to be able to go out there and debug things. But then there's always that issue of spares. So
we just, I love to say that we've got a great tech department, and we do. Like, it's,
well, you're part of it. You're part of it.
I guess what I mean by that is endless supply of parts and spares. But unfortunately, even down to board components, we're really limited because we have such a huge breadth of products that comes through.
Yeah, and especially when, once again, we sort of talk about that, range of product that we have. For the people that have been dealing with Advantech or who have dealt or will be dealing with us, a lot of people know that, what you order does have a lead time. It does need to be imported based on an order.
That's right.
Same for repairs.
Yeah.
Same for repairs. We're going to get back to our conversation in just a moment, but now it's time for our feature product. And for this virtual update, we're taking a look at the up and coming ICR 2432. This is our entry-level industrial cellular 4G router, which is in the process of being certified for the Australian market. So it's not out just yet. Like some of the offerings, it comes with dual SIM slots, dual fast Ethernet, 1x RS232, 1 RS485 port, as well as 1 digital in and 1 digital output channel. But one thing it doesn't come with is, in this case, Wi-Fi. So you'll only be able to connect hardwired devices to them. Perhaps the biggest difference between the ICR 2432 and the ICR 3232 that we've been selling for quite some time in the Australian market is that there's no ability to do any sort of device-side processing. So where the ICR 3232 has enough storage space to run apps and store some data, a CPU that's powerful enough to run Node-RED and other router-side apps, the 2432 might be able to execute some scripts, but fundamentally doesn't have any of these processing capabilities, either at the same capacity or the ability to run the software altogether. Now, although this isn't available right now, and perhaps in line with its reduced capability that we've just discussed, what we can say is that these routers are slotted to come in at around about half the cost of the ICR 3232W, which has gone through some significant events recently, including a complete rework, or at least a partial rework, of some of the internal componentry to reduce their lead time from around about 18 months down to about 3 from the time of order placement. However, that's also pending stock. So the ICR 2432 does offer a nice entry point into cellular gateways, particularly for simpler applications. But for now, let's get back to the conversation with Adam. There's probably just a few other bits and pieces that I think we can talk about here. Now, I think we've started already alluding to it. The issue that we come across where people think that we're a little bit psychic. I had one of these just recently.
Had one today.
Yeah, had one of those just a handful of days ago. Someone asking for information, no part provided.
Yeah.
Well, no specific part provided, no serial number. As a salesperson, you try to sort of navigate in, do a little bit of second guessing, try to provide some information around a family range, and then it turns out that on the response, that's where I was basically told, none of what you've given me is relevant. Here is my part number. Now my first reaction was, okay,
thank you.
Yeah, why didn't you send that in the first place? But there is that sort of magic 8-ball element to it. So because there's sometimes where real cases that we sometimes do get some real head scratches.
Absolutely.
I had one recently with one of our RTU units. I just sort of tried to help out, and for me that was with customer awareness, in play, that was one of those sort of, decisions where, okay, I tried to sort of help out based on like things such as manuals and data sheets. And I didn't really get the customer there. And that between me trying to help, that actually cost the customer, what was it, probably about 2 to 3 days. But when we need client-side information, for someone who's has to help someone almost exclusively via remotely, usually via email or over the phone, what are the things that people can provide to in order to make the job not just easier, because, well, ultimately that's what we want, so that we can make it easier for the customer.
Correct.
But most importantly, lead to a faster solution.
Yeah.
What are the things that you would typically sort of ask for someone, like from the very get-go? You got a problem. This is what we ideally want.
Honestly, I think we can relate back to the previous questions. Again, I think it comes down to knowing what the product is. So actually, no, I'd even go back to first step. What's changed? First off, what's changed? Okay, it was working, then something happened. Can you tell me what happened? Number one, can you tell me the product? Have you read the manual so that I can help you and guide you through technical terms that may be only relevant to that device, whether it be a plug-in PCI, multi-IO card, or I don't know, a transcoding video type situation, or the breadth of product is just so large. We need that type of information. And then there's the basics. Is there any signs of life at all? Just starting at the basics, at the ready. If it has a screen, have you tried a different screen? Is the keyboard connected? If it's a computer.
So in this case, you've got a problem. Okay, try to isolate it. Try to find out where the problem actually exists
before drilling down. So you just, there is this famous saying in tech land in Australia called the KISS principle.
Keep it simple.
As simple as you can. Try and get rid. It's a process of elimination to getting to a fault. But because there's so many varied aspects of product and different faults in different environments, you need to check the common stuff. Power's one of them. Knowing the product, giving me the product number, like you said, would be really great up front. And knowing the product. There's no point in me trying to help you navigate a BIOS if you don't know what one is. If you don't know how to use the machine, me trying to pass you through countless screens and manual information without you understanding the thing is not going to get anywhere.
And that really sort of comes down to that common language problem.
It really does.
Because I mean, look, when I have conversations with some people, I just frankly don't know what they're talking about, because it's just not my area. Look. So to summarize that one, we'd be saying, okay, first things first, like what is it? Try to isolate the problem. Any sort of patterns.
What's changed?
But most importantly, and I think this is probably the one bit of advice that I would suggest. Because we're all for unsolicited advice. It's when you do make a change, do one thing at a time.
Keep track of everything.
Do one thing at a time, and
write it down even.
Definitely, because that way it allows us to, within reason, try to replicate the environment that it's within.
Well, this is a killer for me, actually. The environment stuff. It's an absolute killer. The amount of phone calls I take post-install is ridiculous. And I have very, very little to go on post-install. I don't know your environment. I don't know what wires have been run, or if it's on a network, RTU or otherwise. Did it work on the bench before you decided to deploy your project?
And yeah, look, my best case where I had one like that was, and this here actually goes full circle from the post sales support through to pre sales, and these are also the types of questions which I would actually try to suggest, especially for people out there who are, let's say, going through the research phase, looking for a product.
Document it.
There's that fine line. There's that gray area between letting us know what you want, and where it's going to go and how it's going to behave.
And we'd love to help.
And
we do.
And the thing is, all things being equal, that also sometimes does run into some gray areas because for the people out there who have told us about where things are going and what it's going to be doing and languages that things are going to be speaking and the things that it's going to be integrating with and talking to, this goes back to that first question of the things that we don't do. There's so many things that we can't necessarily predict. For instance, let's say someone wants to put some sort of communication system in line with a CAN bus system. Let's say it's going on a vehicle. Will it work with CAN 2.0? Sometimes it can be a little bit of a, hey, look, from the sales side, from our side here at Advantech, it might support the protocol.
Yes.
Will it work in that final environment? It can sometimes be a little bit of a flip of a coin.
Yeah, well, there's just no way to test every scenario that our equipment might be used in. I had another one with calibrating telescopes using offline Modbus stuff again, and there's only so much I can understand about a particular type of science that that a product might be being deployed and require a calibration for, and I can help you with the module side, but the integration side, I just that's just
no. Look, it's. I mean, speaking of organizations along those lines, I mean, I remember speaking to someone who was looking for a high-speed data acquisition, and they basically they had the sampling rate like jacked to the wazoo because they were basically doing seismic readings.
Okay, right, yep.
But because it was like one of the USB or was a PCI card, I mean, it all comes down to like VB or C++ or something like that, and it's like, okay, you can push it, but we can't provide code for you.
That's right.
And the next thing being is, even if we could, then we come back to that whole liability issue, because reading data out there, that's one thing, but controlling it, we don't know what things are connected to. We don't know what those impacts of failure are also going to be.
And that goes for the same of connecting to security systems, hospital, government. We're just not allowed to do it. And it's a personal liability as well as one for the company.
It's the type of thing where that has to be done by someone who's in that field who knows all of the requirements for it.
Yes.
So look, Adam. Great for your insight. It's like I know that there's a lot of stress in that job. I mean, look, we definitely see it from the sales side of things. So this is the point where I would say, look,
make the Advantech work.
This is the point where I say, sorry for passing some of those ones through, but thank you for being there.
My pleasure. Anytime.
And look, till next time, however long it's going to be, I'm sure I'll catch you around the office and we'll have a bit of a discussion about the next challenge that comes through.
Good.
But thanks for your time, and we'll talk soon.
Sounds good, Richard.
All right, thanks, Adam. So I really hope that you've enjoyed this. At Advantech, we'd love to know your thoughts, so by all means post your comments below. I'd like to thank Adam Klein for his time and his insight into the deep world of fault finding and tech. And it was a great chat that could have gone on for far, far longer. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.